been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Tuesday, September the 2nd. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. In fact, there's no reason to have power if you're not going to have some action. And we have a lot to talk about today. We had a jam show yesterday from start to finish, callers and people using the message page on our website, on live stream website. And do the same today, because so much to talk about. NationalActionNetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and go to live stream and start posting your messages. Like Mayor Rodney Jones is on already. Good afternoon, my shepherd. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Demetrius Jones says, good day, Reverend Al. The dictator-in-chief Trump has directed his administration to collect data from each state's election board. They're planning to eliminate normal election process. That is a real problem. They want to collect the data. He has said that he's going to give an executive order against mail-in voting. And whether that stands legally or not, we will be contesting. But clearly they're focused on trying to maintain the control of the House and the Senate next year. Let's talk about that. Georgia Daniels saying, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. May God continue to keep you strong and steadfast as he guides your footsteps. It was a beautiful day in NYC for the march, and I was glad to be there for the inspirational event. Looking forward to more action, and I'm glad about it, and I'm glad you were here. I've been hearing so many people all weekend as they got back home, and as we had people coming from 10 cities we sponsored, but there were a lot more that came than that. Now the question is the work, how we get the work done, the follow-up, how we deal with protecting voting, how we deal with buying shares in these corporations going to shareholder meetings, how we protect labor.
we got to deal with this situation. We have no choice. Wake up this morning and find out that over the weekend, 54 people shot in Chicago, 7 killed. This helps Trump say we need to take over. One, I'm against takeovers, but I also am condemning the recklessness that we keep showing to justify these people rolling up on us. You can be against shooting and against Trump doing federal takeovers at the same time. I'm not going to make no excuse for shooting. Yes, we need more investments in school. Yes, we need more investment in programs. Yes, we need to restore monies to policing at a community level, community policing. But that still doesn't justify us running around shooting and killing each other. Now, crime is down in Chicago, but I don't think I find no solace in that you used to shoot 80 people on Labor Day weekend, now it's down to 50. So we need to challenge Trump, in my opinion, back Mayor Brandon Johnson, and back a lot of us that have used our temper, our gangbanging, and easy access to guns as a way to be destructive. We should talk about that. We should not let our weaknesses, because that is what it is, shooting people rather than solving problems or whatever the situation is a weakness. And we should not let our weaknesses set us up for this president to play on that and to, in many ways, advance something that's against all of us. On the other side, Trump got a big defeat when a judge ruled that deployment is illegal and limit troops. And he's saying that the deployment of some of these ICE agents and some of those that were taking children out, they literally had to turn the plane around. And it is going to be very interesting. They're probably going to try to bring this all the way up to the Supreme Court, where they feel it's a stacked court. But we're going to be watching it. So a lot to talk about. I'm going to take a quick debriefing call, and I'm going to have Dominique sit in for a segment. And I will be right back with you for this Tuesday. For some of you, it is Hot Button Monday because some of y'all was out, wherever y'all was yesterday. But we worked yesterday. We had a great show and a great West Indian Day parade here in New York. Dominique, let me let you take it from here for a minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. And certainly, good afternoon, message board. And certainly, as always, you can participate in today's conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. As Rev was talking about the federal takeovers that we have started to experience already in Washington, D.C., and hearing news over the weekend about the shootings that have occurred in Chicago alone. We also are hearing, Rev was talking about the Labor Day parade, and there was a National Action Network contingency that walked alongside Reverend Sharpton and Governor Kathy Hochul and many of the local elected officials in New York as we celebrated Caribbean Pride in New York City. And it's always, to me, a very celebratory experience, not only for my family and myself, as we've been walking down that parkway for a very long time. Every year, it's a tradition in my family that we've walked with my father and the National Action Network contingency. And then on yesterday, continuing that tradition as my 6.5-year-old son. I have to add that half on there because he's in the room and will correct me. But interestingly enough, we are continuing that family tradition. And then to hear the news that 6 people were shot after the parade in different instances. But it goes to speak to the situation that Rev was talking about, how we can't continue to raise the alarm in terms of how we feel we deserve to be protected, to feel safe in our communities. We've got to check our actions as well as continue to check how we are being regulated in our communities, how this president has found ways to literally lead to the destruction of how laws and policies and our overall humanity literally at stake, and finding any singular instance to continue to raise the ailments that is being displaced on our people. And so I will say that Reverend Sharpton was spot on in terms of the fact that we have to hold multiple levels of conversations and also equip that with multiple levels of action, because we can't continue to stand up and fight against the greater powers that are bestowed upon us if we can't deal with what we are doing in our own backyards. And so violence is never, to me, a solution, a viable solution to getting to, any of the solutions in terms of dealing with conflict. But I also feel that the access to guns, the access to how we are dealing with some of the ramifications of the depravities that we are dealing with in terms of, as Rev was talking about, yes, we need, funding and resources and opportunities for programs and things to continue to keep our young people active and safe in our communities, to continue to come together safely as we convene. And Labor Day is that, right? We're coming together in various activities to celebrate the end of summer, to celebrate going back to school, to celebrate, the accomplishments of the struggle. And so we can't equip that with violence. And we have to have these conversations as to how we can continue to deal with conflict resolution in a more viable way. And so the lines are open, as Rev stated earlier. We're keeping it real this afternoon. Many of you who celebrated, of course, took the day off on yesterday. Keeping it real was on. And so people called in and shared during Hot Button Issues Monday. But if you didn't get to share, and you'd like to join in on the conversation and get your hot button issues out, the phone lines are open, and we are certainly taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, or you can start commenting in the message board as we're live on live stream via nationalactionnetwork.net. But we'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your areas. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day. That DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to. Thank you.
It's been a long, time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, just sitting in for a few moments for the Rev. We're live on Keeping It Real, taking your calls across the country. You can join in on today's conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. We've already got some folks lined up to join in on the conversation. Or you can join in our message board. We've got folks already chiming in, adding their comments to the discussion today. We've got a lot to talk about and certainly want to hear from you. Before the break, we were talking about, in celebration of Labor Day, and hopefully many of you enjoyed the festivities of Labor Day, but we are hearing a lot of news that there were some shootings in various cities, and people want to chime in on the discussion, particularly around these issues of the shootings that were reported in Chicago. Some happened in New York yesterday. And with that, coupling the fact that President Donald Trump is cracking down on, these threats, saying that he is going to solve the crime problems fast, threatening to, again, deploy the National Guard in Chicago, and similar to, of course, his controversial federal intervention in Washington, D.C. already, and the threat to continue to move to other areas like New York City. And so certainly we need to not only stand with these mayors and dealing as we are dealing, particularly in Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson, who spoke out against Trump's plans, and many of the other mayors from various cities who are starting to really push back. Why come up in our turf? Why deploy the National Guard on us when there is so much that we need to be doing and dealing with? But we want to talk to the people and certainly need to hear from you as we continue to uplift not only these conversations, but our action plan of what we going to do about these things. Let's go to the phones. I see my sister Anita holding on from Chicago. Anita, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Anita, Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying Chicago. You talk a lot about the Jacksons, but I know you're not from Chicago. Chapel Hill, Miss Anita, good afternoon. You're keeping it real.
Now, I lived in Chicago since I was 4.
All right. I knew I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Chicago's my town.
Mm-hmm.
Don't slander. Don't slander. We got Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Michael Jordan. and the first black president, all coming out of Chicago. These are great things in the whole world for everyone. So don't talk about that when people are bombing people and killing people all day long. Okay, and nobody's saying anything about that, killing our budget where we can't have our so-called social programs for people they have robbed, the poor people of the white race and every other race, and enslaved black people. So don't slander Chicago. You know, I would say something, but I'm on Reverend Al's show, and it would be all curse words, okay? But anyway, what I want to say is Mama D calls in from Chicago, and she was going to do something for Emmett Till's mother.
Yeah,
on the
Mamie
28th
Till
day.
Mobley.
Right. That Reverend Al had when they had the same day he had the march.
Yes.
But she canceled it because the mayor of Chicago was supposed to be there and the Minnesota shootings had happened. So she wants September 15th to be a day of national mourning because this street that she's getting named is for Emmett Till's mother, for mothers that mourn for their children and the children.
Can you
that
tell us a
are
little bit more about
surviving.
that, Sister Anita, about the street naming and the day of remembrance that we want everyone to take part in this. So if it's September 15th, we want to definitely have more information about that and how we can be involved and support it. But if you have any information, please let us know.
This is it. She was going to do it on the 28th, but because the children were killed in Minnesota, the two young boys were killed in Minnesota, and the other children wounded and the seniors wounded, she didn't do it. But she wants to do it on September 15th to have that day for Emmett Till's mother. Now, Emmett Till has a street, but she's doing it for his mother, and she wrote this up. The mayor gave her a proclamation, so she's going. I want her to ask Reverend Al, will he do it on September 15th to be in mourning for all the children that are being, slaughtered, including the church bombing when they bombed it in the Civil Rights days, when we was fighting for it. And she wants all of that to be included because she thinks Emmett Till's mother would want people to mourn for the children and the children that are, going through these things. And the people that had to witness this stuff, it's disgusting. But remember, we got Elijah Muhammad, who was 4 children and 4 women. You don't just have a bunch of women and don't take care of their children and educate them and give them a history and tell them they're violent and they're crime-ridden when you didn't give them any inheritance for centuries, and that was the white man's crime. And someone said Al Capone was not gotten rid of by the, what's it called, martial law? Was it the military people that come out? So why are they doing that for young boys who never got an inheritance from white slave masters for centuries, and now they're going to kill them? They're going to kill them. This is disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay? This is disgusting. It really is. And Elijah Muhammad, long live you. You did very well. He taught my ex-husband, and he had a 13-year-old mother. And that man put 9 children through college because he listened to Elijah Muhammad. Okay, take care of your family.
Yes.
And that's what he did, children included, and white man, listen up.
Now tell us, Anita, do you know the name of the street that they're renaming to Mamie Till Mobley, in honor of Mamie Till Mobley? People are asking already.
Okay, she's saying it's Mama D. Oh, God, I forgot her number. Her number is Respect. But 773, is it Respect? Is that 7? I don't know, God. I'm going to try to call her and get her to call in. And then she can give you more information.
Yeah, that would be great.
It's Mamie Till's name is going to be on it for the mother of Emmett Till because he already has a street, but his initials is going to be on that street. And the mayor already told her, and they were supposed to meet her out there, but because of all the things that was happening, she didn't do it. So I'm going to try to call Mama D right now and see if she can call in.
Yes, sir. Because we want to stand with Mama D. We want to stand with Sister Anita. Thank you, Sister Anita, for that information. We know and believe and understand not only the story of Emmett Till, but the legacy of Emmett Till and the impact that Emmett Till, and because of the fight of his mother, because she stood strong, because she did not waver, and she put the world on notice in terms of what they were doing to our black and brown, especially men, to our black and brown people, and ignited an entire movement to really stand up, to acknowledge the fact that this was happening, and to not be afraid to take those necessary stands, to speak out and to be about change. And so we want to stand with Mama D and with all those who, in the memory and legacy of Mamie Till Mobley, continue to fight for justice and to continue to stand for equality. So Mama D, if you're out there and you can call in with the information, we want to stand with you on the 15th of September, and hope that everyone will also stand with this sister in Chicago. I hear the music, so we're going to take a break. It's Dominique Sharpton. I'm sitting in for the Rev. Rev is going to be back with us momentarily, but we've got you holding on to join in on the conversation. And those that want to also join in, please call in 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can hit us on the message board if you're watching us or listening to us via live stream. But we'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
We all
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. 1 year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going at Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this, we were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York, chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, met with the chairman of the board, met with the CEO. I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariff. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
Encourage us, because where we are, we need guidance, we need direction. Reverend Sharpton, if you could please guide us and say a few words, because we just must. There's no way you're in our midst.
Baku is so special. Keeping it real, I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message page at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to our live stream and send a message on the message page, and we will read as many of them as we can. And I think that there's a lot to talk about. We are at a real critical juncture, and we need to act like it. I don't know why people are so relaxed when you have had war declared against us. O.G. Kelly saying on the message board, what happens when Trump announced that he's going to send in the National Guard? These same violent criminals will run and hide until the coast is clear. And I think that a lot of the so-called criminals may run and hide if they send the National Guard in, or they may not, OG, because if he sends them in like he sent them into Washington, he's going to send them to the north side of Chicago to protect the rich, and he's going to send them downtown to what do they call it, Magnificent Mile, to protect the tourists. He's not sending them into the community where the violence is. First of all, the National Guard is unarmed, and they have to get special things to get armed. You know, he's not going to risk sending them in where they're getting any kind of interaction. So I think that all of this is a lot of role playing by Trump and a lot of trying to play to his base. I'm standing up to the black folks. We're the ones with the problem, with the violence. We're the ones, as I always say, that have to run from the cops and the robbers. And that's why we need to deal with this in a straightforward, non-apologetic way. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland. Demetrius, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. It's good talking to you as usual. I just want to just speak on quickly concerning the crime that's going on and the violence. You know, to me, it's a bad role model when you have the top of the country, especially what's happening in Texas. You know, redistricting when it's outside the law. That sets a bad example for the rest of the country, because if they can break the law and put gerrymandering into place and get away with it, you know, that feels other people in this country say we can break the law too. So it's difficult for them to really condemn what's going on in Chicago or any other city when they're breaking the law, taking away people's rights, the rights to vote illegally when they know they shouldn't be setting up different districts, you know, before the census is being taken, yet they're getting away with it.
Yeah, well, let me say this, and I'll let you finish. I think you're right about setting up the law, and that is a contradiction. But clearly, Demetrius, they are saying in plain English or whatever other language they want to say it in. They don't care about that. They put a felon in the White House. That's how much they care about law when it comes down to power. This man is a felon, convicted 34 counts of a felony. He's talking about trying to take a black woman off the from the Federal Reserve, being a governor in the Federal Reserve, who's just been rumored to be accused of something with a mortgage. No indictment, no prosecution, no conviction. He's been convicted. So they throw the law out the window when it comes to power. The question is what we allow to be done. I mean, the thing that humiliates me is we act like folks woke up one day and said, let's be nice to black folks, so let's end Jim Crow. We had to fight for that. Or let's be nice to black folks, let them have the right to vote. We had to fight for that. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I was glad that we did the march last Thursday on Wall Street, and going to continue doing things like that without buying shares and going to these shareholders and dealing with these issues, because we have stopped fighting. I think some of us were so stunned that Trump won again that they'd invite or elect a man like that, invite him back to the White House, that a lot of us just went numb for a few months. So I was like, wait a minute, we got to slap folk out of this. And that's why we started the boycotts with Costco and then the big march, and got to do a lot more, because a lot of us have lost our memory. They never change their mind. Change happens not when those in power change their mind. Change happens when those of us that are using the power against changes our minds. And that's what I'm trying to do on this radio show every day. Dimitri.
Like you said, yes, I'm still here.
All right.
Yes, he have to be consistent to understand what you're saying, because what's going on, it's a persistent on their part, you know, to take away the rights, and the rights we have accumulated, here in America, African Americans and women as well. We had to fight for it. It wasn't given to us.
That's right.
Everything has been fought for through the marches, sometimes through protests, and through boycotts, and through other means. And we can't believe that because we got some victories that those forces are trying to take away, not trying to take away our rights. And we, some of us have to believe that there still is racism and bigotry in this country. And some people, they don't want us to have certain position on jobs to get education so they can maintain, the power for themselves. And also, we have to really believe in each other, and not feel like that we should, just receive the crumbs from the table. Because we supposed to have equal opportunities as any other group of people in this country, and we shouldn't settle for less, and we shouldn't attack our own leaders. And when it comes to the violence in the streets, the average individual, because when we have violence in the streets, there's potential people who can really be productive in society. They could be lawyers, they could be congressmen, they could be presidents. Yeah, they getting killed by random shootings. Because people out for their own self-interest because of their temper or because of jealousy. They playing into the hands of those who are in power. They just being manipulated like a puppet on a string. So I believe some people got to open their eyes and look beyond the hood and look at what's going on, at the top of society. Same too was used during slavery. You had some black people was hurt and hunting down their own people, for the owners of the plantation, for their own self-interest. As people, we got to break that mindset. It don't be miseducated and have self-hatred and just look for just to benefit ourselves, but do like other races.
Right.
They plan for their group of people in the future. You don't just settle for it.
And that's how we got to deal.
Goals.
That's how we got to deal.
Sure do.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Thank you.
Tricia on our message board. Says, when you bring in the National Guard, you are one false allegation / trigger happy rogue guardsman away from a massacre. That's true. You bring them in, there's bound to be an incident. And then I like what she says, if you think you're going to get a reparations package from MAGA, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, Tricia, I could hug you if you was in here. I'm telling people we need to back this man up on voting, need to back this man up on what he's doing in terms of Medicaid and what he's doing in terms of SNAP. And I get every once in a while somebody call me, yeah, well, y'all shouldn't be dealing with that. Just get us reparations. If they will not give you Social Security money that you invested in, what makes you think they're going to give you reparations? Nobody wants reparations more than I do. We fought to make sure in the state we made a law. Now they're studying on reparations, state of New York. But people that say that either are trying to avoid fighting what we need to fight now as we step toward reparations, or they just got one, it's like a one-string guitar. They don't know what else to say. So they just want to say something. Because you can't really believe somebody that's going to take away people's food assistance money, going to give us reparations. So if we can maintain the food assistance money, it energizes our people to keep fighting for our reparations. But you don't really believe Donald Trump cares about us throwing up our fists and hollering. I mean, she is absolutely right. Let's go to
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm coming right back. You on the phones and on the message board. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
today and encourage us, because where we are, we need guidance, we need direction. Reverend Sharpton, if you can please guide us and say a few words, because we just must. There's no way you're entering this.
Baku is so special to all of us. And what has happened this week, let me tell you, Baku and Rich Dennis and the rest will not tell you, against all obstacles, they said we're going to make this happen. I was here 31 years ago when Essence Music Festival started. I've spoken at every one for 31 years. They wanted to stop this. They ended DEI. But just because they ended DEI, we will not DIE. We are indebted to these sisters because they reconnect us. You are strong not by your branches, you are strong by your roots. And the reason that this will survive is the roots that they have brought us from the motherland. Tell us that we're stronger than the waters that we had to pass over. And if we go back to the roots, we can take the waves and the storms of the ocean, because God brought us here to save the human race. And that's why we're here. God bless Baku, bless you, sister. Bless Reverend Jasmine Crockett and all of you that are here tonight.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
visit today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir.
We were go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly. The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went and spoke at his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy had helped him push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me. But, no. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. Let me remind you by way of announcements, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Saturday and Sunday with all of the threats by Donald Trump on Chicago. That's what we did Saturday. I had the mayor of Chicago on. First interview he did since signing that bill Saturday afternoon, giving strict instructions to law enforcement there. We had 2 members of Congress from Chicago. Then we went on and dealt with other issues. We don't play if they're not involved at a level of real engagement or real power to influence engagement. I don't want to waste your time. I tell them, no, my show, I want the people in the thick of things that can answer what's going on. I don't want to play with people's time on the weekends. So every Saturday and Sunday, Politics Nation live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, MSNBC. Then you that are in the tri-state New York area, that's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We're there every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And, of course, you can watch it if you're not in the tri-state area. Watch it live around the country and other parts of the world on the only black-owned gospel network, TV network, and that is Impact Television. Or you can watch it right on National Action Network's live stream, nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. Let me go to the activist extraordinaire, one that I love when the name comes up on the board. That's Sister Pam in Chicago.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton.
Thank you.
Yes, let me say thank you for the protest and putting on notice Wall Street. Thank you. I wasn't there, but I heard it was successful, and I did watch it live stream of it. So wonderful speakers. Everyone just had some profound things to say. I think it was the president of the National Council of Negro Women. I think that was her who cited 318,000 black women have lost their position since this administration, this hateful administration, took office.
Yeah, Siobhan. Yeah, you had it right. Yep.
Now, if that doesn't impact the black community, then I don't know what does. Yep. I just wanted to make sure, 318,000. Now I'm getting ready to go local on something, Reverend Sharpton. Reverend Sharpton, I'm clear about who I am and who those who supported this adjudicated sexual abuser, this criminal in the White House. And you cannot be duplicit in how you act or respond. So, yes, there was the 70th anniversary, right, of Emmett Till. And had we had a President Harris, she would have made a national acknowledgement of that.
That's right.
Did anything come from the White House to your knowledge?
Not a word.
Okay, so that's first point of order. But we know because of who she was and just being a respectful elected official, that's something she would have done.
Yeah, let me say this, and I want you to finish. Not only did we not hear from the White House on the 70th anniversary of Emmett Till being killed and lynched in Mississippi, we didn't hear from the White House on the 20th anniversary of Katrina last weekend. And I pointed out on Politics Nation that when we had the 10th anniversary of Katrina, President Obama went down there and talked about how we can never let this happen again. Not a tweet, not a nothing. Now, he'll get on there and tweet against Beyonce and Oprah and me and everybody else, but to ignore one of the most vicious acts of racism in American history, anniversary, 70 years later, and to ignore one of the most infrastructural examples of neglect we've ever seen, 1,300 people killed because the levees broke in New Orleans, is deliberate. Yeah. I don't know, all of these people trying to find some kind of excuse on why they like Trump or why they voted for Trump. This is deliberate. I mean, Trump's got to go in Pam in his bedroom at the White House and just laugh at black folk, saying, I done slapped them all upside the head, called them everything I could, and some of them still with me. He's got to be the biggest joke in the world to him.
And that's how he operates. You know, his simplistic, look, let me show you what I'll do to them, and I bet they'll still support me. And like, as you said, just laugh all the way, all through the White House.
Yep.
Now, let me get real specific, Reverend Sharpton. I never try to malign any caller that comes on here. I will disagree with maybe their facts or their lies, but let me just be clear. Mrs. Mamie Till Mobley was not only a wonderful mother, she was a dedicated school teacher,
right,
civil rights activist, and author. Now, he meaning the sexual predator, demolished the Department of Education. So that's one attack on her. So for Trump supporters, for the convicted felon supporters to come on this radio station and talk about they want to celebrate the naming of a street after Mamie Till Mobley, that is, I'm not trying to be careful with my words. That is duplicitous, and it doesn't pass the smell test. You have supported this criminal in the White House who hates black folks, but now you're going to tell me you're going to do something trying to honor Mamie Till Mobley in a renaming of a street, and you want to brag about that, but you supported someone in the White House who hates black people. I can't let it stand, and I won't, Reverend Sharpton. I will not. These supporters of the adjudicated sexual abuser, they can't ride on their laurels as I was an activist. I've been involved in black liberation and culture. No, you haven't. The day you stopped fighting for black liberation was the day you supported that, I believe the women who accused him of rape.
Yep.
Let me just say that. And so that's what I'm saying, Reverend Sharpton. Hear me clearly. And those people in Chicago know exactly who I'm talking about. You fighting for reparations. Well, guess what? Because he gave reparations to the white South Africans who he and Musk solicited and brought over here. Oh, they got reparations already. So he has no intention of doing anything on reparations for black people. And when the callers call on him, well, we can get reparations, we can negotiate with them. No, you can't. It's a bold-faced lie. And so I'm calling them out, Reverend, because I'm not going to tolerate it.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, Pam. Yeah. And I think you're right to call them out. Because those that keep saying that either are ignorant how power works, because like I said about 10 minutes ago, if he's going to cut your own Social Security checks, what you invested in, you really can't believe he's going to give us no reparations. He's going to fight it all he can. Or they're trying to ignore their responsibility to fight now. So they go with some utopian dream, like we ain't doing nothing because we ought to be fighting for reparations, and they ain't doing nothing but making an excuse. All of us have been for reparations. But let me tell you something. We understand that you've got to fight power with power. And these people, to endorse the biggest bigot that sat in the White House in my lifetime, and as you said, an adjudicated sexual abuser and a convicted felon in the history of this country. You've never had a convicted felon sitting up in the Oval Office. Yet he gonna send out troops against criminals in our community? Yeah, we need to get the criminals. And we need to get the criminal out of the White House. Pam?
Yes, I totally agree. And let me speak to that. And I know you have other callers, but just bear with me, Reverend Sharp. I'm here in Chicago. So, we just had all of the shootings that occurred over Labor Day weekend.
Right.
There is not one person here in Chicago that condones any of that. And many of us, particularly those who work in the area of trying to fight crime prevention, many of us, or we support organizations, have been on the forefront trying to deal not only with the crime, but the reasons.
Right.
And we have a Mayor Johnson who has clearly outlined many reasons why that occurs. Under Rahm and under Daley, you had mass funding removed, defunding of Black communities. So I'm saying to you this, Reverend Sean, I'm not quite sure what Chicago CPD is doing, Chicago Police Department. Because I know there are drug corners, particularly here on the west side of Chicago, that I see them ride right past, that I have to go on and ask the young men, don't sell drugs, because you're better than this.
Right.
Put myself in danger. And many of the people who are fighting violent crime is doing that. But when I see Chicago CPD pass up and down, I'm not quite sure. We never can solve who's killing people.
No, wait a minute. I want you to keep that. Hold on a minute. I'm going to hold you over because I want you to finish that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to the message board on our live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a big player.
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man. Don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place. A lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who could run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood.
They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then Well, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday is today.
Yeah, and I got to tell Reverend Burke, be ready, Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today. So we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them I owe y'all. Real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to Pam. Go ahead, Pam. Is Pam still with us?
Yes, I'm here, Reverend Sharpton. I'm here.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. So I was trying to move into the crime, and we have a mayor who understands it because he lives in a community that is also been plagued by crime. I used to live in that same community. Making progress. Crime is on the decline, and that's not just a statistic. So he knows what to implement, but he can't get the funding because, the criminal in the White House has stopped that, the DOJ funding. But still, Mayor Johnson is fighting to protect the sovereignty of Chicago. And he's trying to sign executive orders stating that the police will not respond to the ICE agencies or the takeover by the National Guard. Now, if the adjudicated sexual abuser, the convicted felon in the White House, was sincere about this effort of crime, he would have simply called the governor and called the mayor and said, what do you need? How can I help? And lastly, I'm going to add this, Reverend Sharpton. Do you know that there were many Labor Day parades that did not get covered by the national media? It's disgraceful.
Mm-hmm.
But also, do you know that there are reservists and National Guards people who do not want to participate in these sieges on the cities? They are protesting here in Chicago. They do not, and they are asking for some relief so that they do not have to obey a direct order that they perceive is unconstitutional, that many others are fighting right now to say it is unconstitutional. So let me repeat that for the people who are listening. There are National Reservists and National Guards people who do not want to invade the cities. For one, Reverend Sharpton, that's not what they were trained for. For two, when these reservists are called up, some of them, they're leaving their jobs. They're also only being paid, I think, $91 per day by the government. And it is up to the employer, depending, I guess, on your state, whether or not you are even compensated, right, for with the $91. So that is why they're saying this is not their responsibility. This is not what they were trained for. So when they're here, I'm going to do my part just to try to engage them in conversation. Because you know that this adjudicated sexual abuse, and I keep saying that, friend of a child rapist who raped 13 and 14-year-olds and sex trafficked them, how can that be okay with any living soul?
You're right.
And the fact, how can that, with any living soul, how can that be okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it there because I know I've taken a lot of time. But I know this question, if you pose it, will your Trump supporter, your adjudicated sexual abusers, the supporters of him, they won't call you. Ask them, why didn't he deploy the guards when the Capitol was being attacked?
Right.
When
he sat
all over.
right there in the White House watching it on television. and wouldn't do anything.
He sat his big fat butt right there laughing and being entertained. Why he didn't send them then? See, ask them that. And then also ask them about reparations. Ask your supporters of this convicted felon. He gave reparations to the white South Africans. Why hasn't he done it for black people yet?
Gave
Don't
them
talk about me. Yes.
reparations and refuge. I mean, let them
Yes.
come here and gave them refuge. You're absolutely right.
So I'm just asking them to be held accountable. Put the tough questions to them. Why are you okay with somebody who has a best friend who is a sex trafficker and raped 13 and 14-year-olds?
Right.
Why are you okay with that kind of person being in the White House? So we're trying to fight crime. We have a mayor that's trying to do all of the things, the strategies that work. And so what I'm going to say, we need the same thing the white communities need. What did they get when crime ran rampant in their community?
And we
need resources.
We need resources, and we need even the progressives to be straight up with us.
Yes.
Because
yes.
everybody calling themselves progressive are not talking about being progressive for us.
We hold everybody accountable at this point. Hold them all accountable. But right now, we're in the fight for our lives. I'm up for it because evil can't win. Evil won't win. It's got a temporary place in the White House. Oh, but we can get rid of it. And we will.
We must. All right.
We must.
Thank you, Pam. Let me stay in Chicago a minute. Let's go to Tommy. Tommy in Chicago. You're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Well, a pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and most certainly it's always great to hear Sister Pam, but I would just like to say to her and to your listening audience that right about right now, if they're not going to listen to you and recognize these brushes that we're painting with is so broad, which is why these times are dangerous for all of us. One, just riddle me a question, everybody, since you're in your emotions about crime and in our communities and our neighborhoods, because remember, it was a certain time of the year when Pilate understood that he came out and said, this is the time when great Caesar bestows benevolence. Choose for yourself which one of these people. Here's a person who you know what they're about, and here's this other person who's done nothing, and you have nothing but praises for them. So, which one?
Right.
And now here we come with here we come, Rev. This is for individuals talking about all that's nonsense. People just wrote this and this is made up and all this. Here we come to the election where individuals knew, maybe you didn't know, under a rock, your disgust, your frustration, whatever rabbit hole that you called yourself wanting to go down because you would not embrace your culture. You ignore all the things in your history, and now everything in America for a black person that you thought could not happen has happened. Smithsonian, Jackie Robinson, Joy Reid. I mean, they even had the audacity to start talking about Dr. Carol Adams. Talked about Melody Span Cooper, talked about her husband, talk about any and everybody who's talking reality, because, see, we're now dealing with reality. If not, answer me this question. If all of a sudden the President of the United States of America can come to your community and clean up crime that has lasted all of these decades and generations in 30 days to 6 months, what the hell have y'all been doing? What's going on here? Because it seemed to me it didn't matter whether it was Republican or Democrat, and it seemed to me that we started talking about people who were illegally coming into this country. And now we're ending up talking about the so-called martial law of the black communities because they're so all whacked out and crazy and crime-ridden, and you people are running around here like you brand spanking new. When has there not been times in the summertime in any major city all across this country that people are not dying? And with all the commemorative stuff that we do in America, how come there has never been a moment where we stop and we say, can we just stop for a moment and commemorate those who've been snatched out of the jaws of life? And you, as a black person, took the audacity to go to an election box and say it don't matter? Man, that's enough to turn a Negro black. Goodbye.
Let's take a break on that one. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Keep it real. One year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego. Everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going to Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10, 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, we 8-9 days in, we agree to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, remember the chairman of the board, remember the CEO, I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. I said, what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
Thing past hope, because I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare, and my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out, but she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here.
faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for. The evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
I got a Tony.
You got it? My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely accomplished conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Step-Toe Joe in Washington, D.C. Step-Toe Joe in Washington, D.C.
Hello, Sharpton. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. Just like to piggyback on something that Pamela said. I haven't heard President Trump saying that one word about drugs. That one word.
Right.
And that's true. Tomorrow, they're having a hearing up on Capitol Hill about the Epstein trial. But it's closed door. So one question I'd like for them to ask her would be to find out how many people that Epstein was communicating with and that he knew. One question would be, I'm going to name a professional. I do not want any names. And just let me know what some of these people, not people, but some of these folks knew Epstein and were acquainted with it. That's all we got to ask. Okay? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. That's how you can find out how well Epstein was connected.
Now,
Okay, sir.
they're back
Yeah.
in session this week in Congress, and they're supposed to have
Right.
the Epstein prosecutor from Florida to testify before one of the committees, because no one can understand how this man was convicted of sex trafficking of minors, and they reduced it from a federal case, put in a state case, and let him basically have his own private security and go and come like no other prisoner. Why was that done? I mean, there's so many angles on this mess that it's beyond belief.
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you for
That's
your
all.
call. Let me go to Tyrone in Baltimore, Maryland. Tyrone, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yeah, how's it going, Reverend Sharp?
Pretty good.
Okay, you guys are talking about reparations and what the government should, what they should not do. I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys have heard or if you all even spoke about the fact that these people in St. Louis, I'm finding out that they had radioactive material sprayed on them during the 60s, black people. And they even served some of the children radioactive oatmeal
Right.
in the school. Yes. So yeah, I know you heard of this.
I heard of it,
And,
digging into it, and want to get it on Politics Nation this weekend. It is outrageous.
Yeah, please.
This is
It
outrageous.
is outrageous. And they served pregnant women radioactive iron to see if it affected the baby in them. These are black people we're talking about, poor people, disposable people in their minds. And this just goes to show why we need reparations. They said they've done this in hundreds of places all across the nation. So primarily black areas, you know that.
Right.
We're disposable. And as far as, the crime and all that, a lot of that was socially engineered with the crack epidemic and the money that they got from using crack to finance the war in Nicaragua under the Reagan administration, because he was forbidden to do so by the Bolin Amendment. So he had to do a roundabout to pay for to support the Nicaraguan concerts against the Sandinistas. So in that way, he sacrificed the black community in order to fight a war against communism in this hemisphere. And most of us don't even know anything about that. The guy that really looked into it, Gary Webb, committed suicide with 2 bullets in his brain. So,
wow.
Just to add a little bit of, Gary Webb. It's very easy to assess this information. All you got to do is Google a CIA, crack epidemic, and actually Maxine Waters actually had a rally in around that time. This is back in the height of that crack epidemic,
right?
Where the Los Angeles people from Los Angeles came out, and they had a talk to with I think the guy's name was Brennan, the head of the CIA, and they shot him off the stage, and he was actually fired that year. So something happened, and this is why we need reparations, because there's a lot of things that are top secret that have been done to us, as well as things that have been done in the open to us to support this country and whatever endeavor they decide to do, whether they're making money or whether they experiment on people. So at our expense, even with street labor. So yes, we are entitled to reparations. At so many levels, in so many ways. I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for calling. Let me go to my man Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Woody. Is Woody there? I don't hear Woody.
I don't know why he's not answering.
Yeah, I don't hear Woody. So let me go to Mike in Georgia. Mike, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Reverend Al, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I thought I heard Tommy on the air just a little while ago, and he didn't end it the way he usually ended it. Like, WW, how dumb you are.
Right. No, he didn't make his calling card today. You're right.
Yeah. But, Rev, my question to you is, okay, I hear the governor of Illinois saying that Donald Trump is planning a coup. I've also heard one of these late night comedians talking about because of the troops in D.C. that if the Democrats were to win, they would never be able to allow to come to power. And so, exactly, in your opinion, how does Donald Trump plan on doing this coup? Because there are soldiers that are not going to follow that order to fire on an American citizen. They may just do the exact opposite. So, in your opinion, do you think this is what he's trying to plan, a military coup?
Well, I wouldn't put it past him. Let me put it that way. Let me say this, Mike. Anytime you have a president that goes and speaks at a rally, tells the people to head over to the Capitol where they were getting ready to vote to certify the election of 2020, and that he'd meet them there, put out the Secret Service wouldn't let him go, and they riot, threaten his vice president's life, damage property, and cause death. And he sat there and watched it on television in the White House and didn't say a word for 3 or 4 hours, and finally tweeted something that was really not reprimanding, but that I'm proud of you going home now. And do I think a man that would do that is capable of trying to stop an election? Absolutely. Do I think a man that would say that a sitting president was not born in his home state but born in Africa, and that he would produce a birth certificate to prove that and never produced a birth certificate, never came back out with it? Absolutely. I wouldn't put anything past Donald Trump. Anything.
So Rev, this could end pretty bad with people losing their lives, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of military people that are not going to go along with his orders and will be willing to fight against him.
It could end bad, and I hope it doesn't. It ended bad in on January 6th. So I think that it is. I think that is why some of us are trying to organize and mobilize and get people out now, so we could head this off. But if you wait until the 2026 midterms or the 2028 elections, it may be too late because these people are planning right now, and we need to plan and offset them now. I got from very reliable sources in high up in the Republican Party that they were surprised at the numbers that we put in the street in Wall Street, because it's indicative to them that, wait a minute, these people are not as asleep as they thought. And you've got to keep doing that, not for them, but to give our people strength, to give our people some hope, and to put the spotlight on what's happening. I can't tell you the people that said to me, you know, you're right, I never thought about these people on Wall Street, these billionaires are the ones benefiting. They getting a tax cut that we had to pay for. They're the ones that's financing these drives against DEI on college campuses and in the private sector. People ride past Wall Street every day in New York and never think about those are the people paying for this. That's why a good activist knows where to put the spotlight. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify,
is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males? That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Rev, you know you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. And we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
That's internationalanimalrescue.org.
Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment, more skillful than others I've known in your area. Use that and believe in that, and your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day.
I got a Tony.
You got it? My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Respecting our past.
And I have tears in my eyes, Rev, because this is a narrative that this generation, they need to know and they need to hear that a black man who's lived the history of the entire civil rights movement, to everyone who was assassinated, to everyone who joined in March, to every individual who never seen the fact that we got the right to vote because they became strange groups. I have these tears in my eyes today, brother. Cause every generation
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, where injustice goes, he follows.
30 years ago, you should have been 16-year-old brother killed for being. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. And we're back. Let's go right back to the phones and to our message board at live stream national at nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me see if we got Woody. Woody in Philadelphia. I went to him before. He wasn't there. Let me see if we have him now. Woody?
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
I'm so sorry. I have my good friend who's 94 years old, Dr. Whitney, who is a pediatrician, and I've been on this corner for quite a long time. But when people can walk in here, 94 years old, driving himself in,
wow,
and then sit in my chair, it's an honor to me. And I said, listen, man, I said I was going to talk to Reverend Sharpton about labor. I think we could stretch this Labor Day out to honor those who labored the most in our nation, and that's the 400 years of the chattel slavery. It should be marked and not take away Labor Day. All the other laborers that did their work, no problem. But let's remember, those who labored 400 years and never got a dime,
right,
forced to labor. I want you, Reverend, please, to look in on that. And I'd like Dr. Whitney sitting here to say hello to you. Dr. Whitney, here you go.
Hello, Reverend Sharpton.
Hello there. How are you?
Oh, doing fine. Watching a TV show. I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Wow, God bless you. 94 years old and you still driving yourself, they tell me.
Well, yes, until the state catches up with me.
Well, you stay well and God bless you. I'm glad to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Sharpton.
All right.
Happy to have spoken to you personally.
All right. God bless you. God bless.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. I'm gonna go now, but think about the Labor Day thing. I just wanted to put that to your head.
I love it. Thank you. And I appreciate that. Let me tell you something. I like, some people say, oh, why people do that? That's annoying. I like talking to ordinary people. People stop me in the street, I talk to them because people don't have to take time. And I guess one of the reasons that I like that is I remember growing up and certain people with notoriety would come to our church, and I remember those that treated me nice, and I'm just a kid. There was no reason to treat me nice. But I remember those that treated me nice, and I remember those that ignored me. So I don't want to be on the list of people that grow up or that are older and think back and say, oh, he's a snob. He's all into himself. I ain't going to be on that list if I can help it. Let's go to Deborah in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Reverend Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call. I was listening to the caller speak about the radioactive treatment that Black women were given or being given. I didn't hear the state. I remember seeing something in reference to that, but I haven't been able to research it. But something I have been able to research that has been strongly on my mind, and that's the rise in HIV and AIDS in the Republican states. And people, this is and to me, I think this is by design, basically. And y'all can look it up yourselves. The states basically are the state of Georgia, where I am, and I've been speaking about this for about 3 or 4 years. No billboards, no information being put out there, nothing. The CDC is here. Basically, now they're saying 20,000 new cases within the last 8 months, y'all. But I've been talking about this HIV and AIDS in Georgia for like 3 or 4 months about why the governor, for years, 3 or 4 years, I meant to say years, why the governor, Brian Kemp, has not said anything about it, because I believe strongly that governors govern states, and they're supposed to let you know what's going on in your states. But it's Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Louisiana, and all of these are southern states with the exception of Ohio. Mm-hmm. Now, these governors have been silent. They have been silent. And it's not just hurting Black and brown people. It's hurting a lot of people. But the disease has skyrocketed, y'all. And it's so funny because now I was watching the news a couple of days ago. Now they claim they got this new HIV drug out. But I want y'all to understand something. They want you on PrEP. They want you on medication, because now they're coming out with another medication that's supposed to keep you or prevent you from catching it. One is supposed to be every 6 months. The other one, I think they say you can take once weekly or something like that. So they stop telling you about the disease. They're not finding a cure for it because they already have a cure for it, but they want you on some type of medication, either medication to treat it or either medication not to get it. But all of it, when we see the numbers of how it's spreaded, apparently something ain't working right, or something is being deliberately spread into the communities. And it's one of the states, I don't know which one it was, where they kept saying Harris County, where they can't understand, because in that particular state, it was just basically in one county that it just rose, skyrocketed within the last 60 days. This is real, y'all. This is not something that just going around on social media. This is real. I went to the doctor 3 weeks ago because I was in a car accident in 2024. And I'm a hypochondriac. I go to the doctor or anything. I looked like my shoulder bone was misplaced. And she was asking a couple questions, and I didn't go in my area because I do have Kaiser. I go wherever they got something available for that day. That's how serious I am about mine. And then after she asked me the questions about a collarbone, this is what she asked me, y'all. Have you had a fever lately? Have you lost any weight? Have you had any sores? And I'm like, why are you asking me about HIV? You know, I said, I don't have HIV. I don't have AIDS. Why are you asking me that? And it's so funny because that was 3 weeks ago. And then I just found out about this outbreak within the last week. So the doctors, the facilities know because they're asking the same questions that they were asking back in 2000 and 2001. You know, when you used to go to the doctor and no matter what you went for, they would ask you the same questions about HIV or AIDS. That's what they're doing now. So that means the CDC knows. That means these governors knew. And they didn't say anything, y'all. And this outbreak is serious. So I don't know how many of your family, loved ones, and friends have been infected. I bring this back to Donald Trump. I don't care what y'all say. I don't need no proof. I don't need to see those files. They need to show us those files about Epstein. But I've seen enough to know what he's capable of and the destruction that he does. And for it to be in Republican states, y'all, that should tell you something. I gave you the states, but do your homework. Do your homework and be more careful about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and trust nobody. I don't care if it's a doctor. I don't care, people. You better think twice about what you're doing, where you're at, where you're eating at, and a whole lot of other things, because there's a lot of things that are going on that are unexplainable, including the weather, including the planes running into each other, including just a lot of things that we didn't see until this particular administration came into office. And I don't think that it's by accident. I think it's by design, even with the new drugs that they're coming out with.
What do you think? Who do you think, or whom do you think is behind it? Toward what purpose?
I think, well, first of all, the governors, because the governors and Donald Trump, again, these are Republican states. These are Republican governors. And I think the Trump administration is behind it because they did a serious cut in reference to the aid that they're giving for AIDS patients. They cut it so much that I believe, I don't know the numbers, but it's millions of people can die within the next 4 to 5 years with the cuts that they've made in Washington in reference to AIDS, and in reference to the medications for AIDS, in reference to the health care for AIDS. They're saying millions of people within the next 4 to 5 years will die from AIDS. So y'all run around here thinking that it's a curable disease, you can't die from it. You better do your homework. You better be reading like I'm reading and not just listening to that stupid stuff on social media. One thing, Reverend Sharpton, is I noticed that one thing that a lot of black people have is you don't even understand what you're dealing with. You want to blame your own people when you don't even do the homework. You think people just run around here infecting people. Sure, some people do that, but you can't see the forest for the trees. They stopped the funding for HIV and AIDS, and they stopped the funding for a lot of the health care that you were getting in reference to the medications to help you with that medication. That medication is very expensive. Do your homework in that. And when they stopped that funding, that stopped your medication. They're saying millions and millions of people are going to die within the next 4 to 5 years, not 10 or 20 years, because the funding has stopped. So while you running around thinking you got PrEP, thinking you on this medication, thinking you're non-detectable, and you might be now, but if you can't afford that medication because it's very expensive, the Trump administration just voided a whole lot of funds that is going to AIDS and HIV patients for your medication, for your cure. And so this is very, very serious. So I strongly believe that these Republican governors, including the state of Georgia, have a lot to do with this. Because I listen to WALK all the time, Reverend Sharpton, and even when it's not your show, it's always on locally here. And I have been asking for like the last 3 years, why do we have a Center for Disease Control, but nobody has any billboards out about this? You got these billboards about Narcan, where you can go to your fire department, you can get Narcan, you can stop people from having overdoses and things like that. But you have nothing out here about AIDS. You have nothing out here about HIV. And now we're pretty much at an epidemic state again, y'all. And I'm not trying to scare you. These are facts. These are just pure facts. And do your homework and see. So I'm strongly putting it against the governors because, like I said, I don't care what Trump does. Governors govern states. Trump ain't got no damn business governing no state. That's why we put governors in office. And that's why we have to get these governors out of office, y'all. It's not just about black, white, blue, red. It's about human life.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter where it starts, it's going to spread, and it's
I mean, it's really bad out here right now, and it's not just
Well,
black
I
people.
tell you,
We'll see the black people.
I tell you how right you are. Thank you for your call to heighten our awareness. They said COVID was nothing. He said to drink some bleach, COVID would be all right. Look what happened. Bruce Turner's on our message board saying we better open our eyes to why Trump put these unqualified people in charge. And I'm not an alarmist or conspiracy theorist, but I'm also one that don't suffer from amnesia. I remember when he played down COVID, and that led to us taking it seriously too late, and tens of thousands of people died and millions infected. The same Donald Trump. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Keeping it real.
Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
No justice!
family. We have a short visit today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir.
We want to go with gold. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, so that's and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started Brother.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helped him push the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 40, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But no. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio. Raj.
Hey, Reverend, how you doing?
Doing very well. How are you?
Hello? Oh, okay, thanks. Yes, I apologize about the other day. You had came to me after Reverend Cavness was on, which I'm used to him in the last call of the day. So when I heard him come on, I hung up, and then I heard you come to me afterwards, but I had already hung up. So I apologize for that. But
No problem.
there was a guy that called the other day. He was describing the banner that they had created with your picture. It was your picture and some other. There was another person on there, but I didn't get a chance to really scope it like in full. But I know I saw your picture. I recognized his voice because there were two long banners, and he had one with because it took two people to mark with it. So I recognized his voice, so I talked to him there. And the other banner, I was behind him with carrying with the other guy. So we marched the whole route with all the people from Cleveland too. Plus everybody else that was there. Yeah, and but yeah, I remember I saw your face on there, and but like I said, I didn't get a chance to really read, and because we were marching and walking. But I was impressed too, also because there were a lot of people coming. They were like on the sidewalks. They were clapping and encouraging everybody, all the marchers, protesters as they marched by, and people were looking out the window, hanging out the windows.
Yeah, they really were. Yeah, I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, and also now Pam and the last caller made the point that I was agreeing with wholeheartedly. As Pam's talking about how the corporations get the tax breaks, and a lot of people wasn't aware that their tax hikes goes to the corporations, and and see, as true as that is, it's disappointing. A lot of people that got by them the first time, and they just forgot or whatever. But when Trump gave the corporations the $1.5 trillion tax cut, the first time I knew that was the case. Then our taxes went up and theirs went down. Theirs went down. He had cut the corporate tax cut from 35% to 21% that Obama had put in place, so that the corporations could pay more of their fair share, and then that wound up costing the deficit $8 trillion, which was the largest in history. And then these people turned around and voted for him to get right back in, knowing that Project 2025 and all the other stuff was going, and he was on camera saying, telling the same corporations, I'm gonna give you another tax cut. And it's like, man, I don't know, they just don't, a lot of them don't connect the dots, or they don't believe the reality of what's going on. And then that last caller, she was saying how a lot of things she was saying, I agree. Like when the pandemic was out, they started talking about that. I remember about a year before the year before Trump and Biden election, and I was thinking then, especially when they started announcing all the blacks that was dying, and there were like millions had died before they started talking about that, like that was of other ethnic races, including white. I was saying then, this is to knock off a lot of voters, because Trump knew he was going to lose way before the election came. He knew, and they knew he was going to lose if he went just by the popular vote, which meant he probably wasn't going to get the a good chance he wouldn't get the electoral college delegate. And another thing, it amazes me how fickle all these so-called powerful people and well-accomplished people are. They now you had the unions. They like over 70%, almost 80% of the union representatives and big leaders, they were against Trump coming up toward the 2020 election. That was a large reason too that led to him losing support. Now coming up to Kamala this last election last year, it was the AFL-CIO. He turned and said he's for Trump after he was saying how Trump hadn't never supported the unions, the causes of the unions, the fights that they had and everything. He never stood with them. Then he turned around last year and said now he's for them. Now I see where the unions are now against him again. Just recently, I just saw this, maybe yesterday. So it's like they can't make up their minds, or they're getting paid off, just like the corporations, like with Target and all them, made all this commitment with DEI over the years, and then back in like 2019, 2020, or not? I think even more recent than that. They said, yeah, we're gonna go with the commitment to hire more blacks and promote them in more upper management, and put all this money behind it and funding, and now, or at least committed to it, and now that Trump comes along, snaps his finger, and all of a sudden they say, well, we rescinded. So either they're getting paid or promised to pay. I bet you they didn't get paid. They're getting a promise for a future payoff that's not going to happen, guaranteed, and they're just rolling with it. Or either they're getting death threats, which I wouldn't be surprised, or their families, but I it's just like either they're that fickle or they just
No, I think a lot of it is that they're afraid of losing federal contracts. I have on the live line, thank you for your call. I was waiting on our co-host, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron, senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, member of our national board. When we come back, I'm going to talk with Reverend Walron. We'll be right back.
Keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
I got a Tony.
You got it. My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
Half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man. Don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorns. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb.
Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. Keeping it real, I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. I'm joined by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church of Harlem and member of the National Board of National Action Network, Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walrun. How you doing, Reverend? I don't hear Reverend Walrun.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yes, sir.
There you go. Here you go, Rev. How you doing?
All right. How you doing?
Good, excellent.
Let me ask you, I was thinking about you. I was on Morning Joe this morning, and they raised this question that's your level kind of questioning, how they're having this meeting, summit in China. Modi, the head of India, is there. Kim Jong-un is on the way from North Korea in a bulletproof train. Might be there by now. And Putin is there. And they said that they are all, and they've had their disputes, but they're all buddy-buddy, chummy-chummy. And they said they're tired of the world being run by Western values and that the balance of power globally is the United States and the West. How do you read? I mean, you're probably the most thoughtful, scholarly person I know in the ministry. How do you read the signs of that? Because a lot of us have missed that. That is a very, very interesting photo and statement.
Yeah, I mean, on a very cursory level, it means that they're tired of America's global dominance.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
And they want to do something about it. That should be, that's obvious, but also should be a little alarming when you have India, China, and Russia coming together and saying they're weary of America's global dominance. And you know, yeah.
And we've got an unstable man sitting in the White House dealing with this.
Right. Well, China has been really doing the work of really becoming one of the biggest debtors in the world. I mean, the amount of money they've loaned to different places from the continent of Africa to the Caribbean, you can name it. They're doing a good job of having many countries in debt to them. I mean, and so this is very interesting. When I saw that meeting and I saw the comments that were made, I wasn't surprised by the meeting nor the comments because I think that they're committed to undermine America's dominance, and in part because of, as you said, Donald Trump. But this is not a good thing. I don't want people, you know, we don't always in the United States, we're not always abreast of global affairs. We're more concerned with domestic issues. But that's something we can't bypass and we can't minimize either. Those are three major powers in the world, especially China. And people kind of don't really understand India's role. But that image, the picture, and the statements, for me, was a little unsettling, Ralph.
Oh, yeah. No, it as one who's traveled a lot in and out of the country, when I saw that and it really caused concern. And, you know, I've been all through Africa and go to England every year just about speaking and all that. And I know when they talk about America and Western civilization, this sent tremors through a lot of those leading. And to deal with someone who is as irrational as Trump to being at the helm at this time is dangerous. Because here's a man who just met with Putin in Alaska and got absolutely nothing but a photo op for Putin. Right. I mean, nothing. Putin is bombing Ukraine more now than he was before he went to Alaska.
Right, right, and absolutely, absolutely. This is very interesting. I've always, Rev, had concerns about Russia and China because we don't know what they're doing together. But pulling in India was interesting. I would think we would be foolish to think that in some way Russia and China are not in cahoots on different levels on the global scene.
No doubt about it. Now, the other thing that must be brought into the conversation is that Russia and China has very serious investments in Africa. Every time I've gone to Africa,
Absolutely.
including Rwanda, I've been to Sudan.
Yeah.
They're already on the ground. Chinese everywhere, Russians even more so than the United States, which seems to not bother this president at all, who calls them S-hole countries. But that's the richest minerals in the world there, in Africa.
Absolutely. No, I've seen this. There's been articles. I think in the past, you and I may have exchanged articles about China's deep investments in Africa, and how and how some countries, and we've talked about this before, are moving away from even using the American dollar, right, in some of these countries. So it is very interesting. But again, I was in a particular island a few years ago, and in the Caribbean, and I noticed the airport was new. They had a new stadium, and so much was new in this small island. And I remember talking to one of the people at the hotel, and I said, "How are you all able to do it?" They said, "China. China is giving us the money to do all of this, and giving us the money to do this." So they're doing this is their kind of blueprint around the world to loan money to help build up economies, to help with infrastructure in different places. And these people are now in debt to China. I mean, it's strategic, but it's not something we can bypass very easily.
Yeah, O.G. Kelly saying on the message board, I've been reading about BRICS, BRICS, and CAPS, and they are growing. BRICS started with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. What's going on at FCBC, Reverend?
Rev, this past Sunday was my first time back in the pulpit. We ended our hybrid services, and it's the first time back in 3 months. So I was excited. It was an amazing experience. We had an unbelievable Hope for Harlem. I think I shared that last week.
Right.
Here at the church. But yeah, it was my first Sunday back, and man, it was amazing. I was glad. I tell you, Rev, I told the folk, I was extreme. I don't know why I was so nervous, but I realized that it's the longest I've been away. I was away 3 months from the church.
Wow.
And yeah, it was 3 months. It was because even during the virtual services during our hybrid summer, those were services I recorded back in early June.
Okay.
So I have not been really I have not been in the church. So it's been 3 months. So it was really powerful, it was overwhelming, but I was nervous because I hadn't been away from the church that long. So I'm back in the saddle. I'm in the office today. I haven't been in the office in months. But I'm catching up on all this mail piled up on my desk and all the meeting requests. So yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back.
Well, a lot of folk glad you are back. Let me remind people by way of announcements: Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sundays. And I'm staying on top of everything. Like I said, as soon as we heard the mayor of Chicago was signing this executive order on Sunday, instructing his police not to interact with these federal officers at all, we got him on the show. That's the kind of show I run. I want people right in the middle of things, people that can tell us what's going on, and people in power that we could challenge. Me and former Governor Casey got into it. You never know what's going to happen on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC. And then the Saturday Action Rally every Saturday morning at the House of Justice in Harlem, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's an experience that will energize you and focus you. Had several people from, one from Seattle, 2 or 3 stayed from Atlanta, another from Memphis that had come up for the march and decided they want to stay and go to the Saturday Action Rally and spend Labor Day in New York. And I'm telling you, you should be there. Other than those that cannot be there because you are too far away, you can watch it live on nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can go to Impact Television and watch it live 9 to 11. Let me go to Pulpit in Washington, D.C. Pulpit, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Dr. Walron. Is Pulpit there? All right, let me go to Mark then in Houston, Texas. Mark.
Loudmouth, y'all doing? Hey, good afternoon, Loudmouth. Y'all doing all right this afternoon?
Doing fine. How you doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, you and the pastor love listening to you guys. I just want to say this here. Loudmouth, I heard some of you callers, and I know y'all was talking about can we trust old Trump? I tell you what, when I was a little boy, and I know you was a little young man too, and you know how your mom and them used to fix that good old sweet Kool-Aid, and then everybody get their supper, and we drank, and then you put it back in the refrigerator. See, I was that little young fella who would get up in the middle of the night, and I would drink it and leave just a little bit small. I got in trouble. You know why I got in trouble? They knew I did it because she said, "Who did it?" I denied it, but she looked at my lips and my tongue. She saw that old good old bread, stuff on my tongue. So what I want to say is, can we trust anything that Trump? No, we can't trust a person who been convicted over 34 counts, man. I can't put nothing past him. I heard you. So we can't put nothing past him, what he would do. But I tell you what, I want to sit this out because I know his people are listening. So I tell you what, and I love the mayor down there in Chicago. Well, why don't you take those National Guards and put them at these schools where we have these shootings. Put 2 at each one of these schools. If you want to make a difference, we just had a shooting in Minnesota, Minneapolis, whichever one it was. Let's just put them to use. Put them there across the country. Not to put them against each other, against us. You know what I'm saying? Allow them off. I think that'll be good. Put those National Guards in front of school. Put the sharpshooters there. We'll stop that. That'll stop that. We got police. We've been police. We're taking care of that. But we don't need the National Guards out there. We know what they're going to do. We know what they talking about. So at the end of the day, if y'all can hear me out there, and I know they listen. I know they screening us. I know Trump and them listening to us. So, hey, if you want to make a difference, you always say take a look in the mirror. Make that change.
That's right.
Put them at the schools. That's where we need them. That's where we need them at the schools across the whole country.
All right.
Since you don't want to take these guns off the street. All right then, my brother.
Thank you for your call. And it's a glaring contradiction that they will not do anything about the gun legislation, including assault weapons, yet they want to invade communities like they're concerned about crime and don't want to disarm the public.
Right. You're concerned about crime, but you do nothing to reduce the possibility of access to assault weapons. And you don't even, I think I saw Gavin Newsom point out the places where crime is much higher than the places he's sending troops in Mississippi and also in Louisiana.
Yeah,
we're not sending in Louisiana where Michael Johnson stayed, but we're not sending troops there. So this is definitely targeted to democratically run cities that are mayors who are African American. I mean, it's obvious. And we have to do a job of continue to call that out because there's not a concern for crime. I mean, there's an intentionality around what is being done, and I hope people really are paying attention. But we got to keep sounding the alarm. Democrats got to sound the alarm, and I know we're going to keep sounding the alarm.
All right. We are about out of time. Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron, and let me thank all of you that called in and listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through. And let me say this, Dr. Walron was headed to New York to be at the march, got jammed up in airplane airport stuff. So I just want to say that because I know a couple of people were saying, where's Reverend Walron? I said, he'll be here in a minute. And he ended up having to watch it in an airport. But he is a active, committed member of the Board of NAN, while he has one of the largest congregations in the USA. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, Tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.